Hello and welcome to the Outcast. I'm your host HC, and with me is.
Wolf.
And today, the end of a journey. Kinda? Question mark? Maybe?
Mm,
Not sure. We'll talk about this later. But
doesn't
here we
feel
are.
like it, but they say it is.
It's complicated. Maybe. I don't know. Error 404. Ask again later. But
Actually
anyway.
relevant. It's complicated. That's actually relevant to the season.
Okay, so you know what? Jumping right into it. The Dragon Prince season 7, supposedly the final one. Again, supposedly. We'll get to that later. If you listen to our previous Dragon Prince podcasts, then you know we are both fans of the show. I mean, we've been covering it since the day it came out, basically, didn't
Yeah.
we?
Yeah. Since it started, we have been covering it since 2018.
Yep. God, it's been 6 years. What the hell? No, don't
Feeling old.
shush me.
No,
I
no.
am.
Feeling old. Feeling old.
So yeah, but anyway, so if you want to listen to our in-depth thoughts, then you can always go and listen to our podcasts about these seasons. But
Mhm.
in general, we are big fans of the first three seasons. Seasons 4 and 5 were kind of lacking. Season 6 started picking up the pace again, and now we're at season 7 again. If it is supposedly the final one, but like I said, we'll talk about this later. Uh, for the record, if you are new here, welcome. Great to have you here. But the way this works is that first of all, we'll just talk non-spoilery to some degree, and when we're about to get into spoilers, we'll let you know because the season is still relatively new at the time of this recording. So anyway, you said it's complicated, and I think when I just finished watching the season, my general thoughts were like, it's good, but. And then the more I thought about it, the more it started going down from it's good, but to it was alright. Maybe?
We joked about this, by the way.
We
We
joked about
literally
what?
joked about this season coming out and being either now to be clear, we joked about it being really bad, like just awfully bad. So I'll give it credit. It's not really bad or awfully bad, but it is. Yeah, I kind of walked away from it feeling, yeah, this is fine, but for a supposed final season, it just feels eh.
I thought what, and we'll obviously talk more in that when we get to the spoilers, but it felt like they had good ideas on paper, but they never really do anything interesting with those ideas, and the conclusions to arcs which either were established in this season or in previous seasons, the solutions just kind of felt like, oh, okay, I guess that's over.
Yeah, or it just wasn't addressed at all. I will say I kind of like the idea of it being more open ended. You don't see that very often for shows, for good reason. That's a hard thing to pull off. I I can't even remotely give you an example that I think has done it well. This does not count. um, I like the idea of it
I
being
mean,
open ended and like it not
I
having a
guess maybe
ending,
not a show.
but
I will say it's not a show, but I just replayed it because they re-released it. Slide 3 it kind of does this thing that
mm,
it's definitely an ending. You can finish the story right here, but but it's also open-ended enough so that if they ever decide to do a sequel, which they did, then that ended on cliffhanger. Fuck these guys. But you get what I mean,
yeah.
though, that it concluded everything really well, but also it left plenty open that you could continue if you wished.
Yeah, and I think that's the issue this has, right? It's open ended, but it doesn't feel like it concludes enough, and it doesn't feel like it concludes it well enough to make that open ended ending feel good, right?
And I don't think it's just that it didn't conclude, but like what is concluded feels rushed.
That too. Even if it's not rushed, it just feels it feels unfinished, which
Hmm.
I guess again open ended, but it feels unfinished in a bad way.
Yeah, and
Like this season needed an episode or two more, and then I think the open ended feeling of it would be fine.
oh, I tell you what, we could just cut the entirety of season 5, make this season 6, and then have season 7 actually wrap the story up.
True, true.
But
So
also,
go ahead.
plot aside, I have a question for you. Did the animation feel lesser this time around?
I didn't notice it if it did. I will say that.
Maybe, so in this case, listeners, if you notice that, tell me if I'm the only one, but fight scenes and just movement in general felt a lot more rigid and like it's I'm not sure if calling it in betweeners is a good is like the right term for it because I know in betweeners is more with 2D animation, but the movement for characters didn't feel as as detailed or in the same or like that again like I said I think rigid the movement felt a lot more rigid this time around, and I think maybe there was less of a budget to work with. Maybe it's like maybe something else, I don't know, like because in terms of character models, environments, special effects, those all look great, don't get me wrong. It's just that at some points the character movement looks a bit off, like something was like they had a budget cut and you can feel it.
I'll have to give it a second watch through, but yeah, I can't say I didn't notice it. Nothing felt too off to me about the animation. I will say though, and maybe this is why I watched this on my phone.
Oh, okay.
Like, I just laid back in bed and watched it and binged it.
Fair
So
enough.
I was on a smaller screen too, right? So
Okay,
that
so
may be
yeah,
also
you're
why.
watching it on. I'm not sure what kind of phone you have,
It's
but
a nice
I
phone.
guess.
It's a decent phone, but like it's just smaller screen, right? If you're watching
But
on
yeah,
something
but what I'm
bigger, you
saying
might
though,
notice it
regardless of what
more.
phone, I don't doubt the quality of your phone. What I'm saying though is that it is different to watch something on a phone rather than a 4K TV.
I
Which is
You were doubting the quality of my phone. I know
sure
it.
if you.
I have a nice phone. Don't you
I
dare
have an
question me.
iPhone 12 Plus. I know what I'm doing when it comes to
I think they're on
phones.
like iPhone. I think they're way above 12 now. HC.
Oh, trust me, I know. I just don't want to replace my phone every year.
Fair,
I say it's just 6 months, maybe.
fair,
You know what I mean.
fair. I don't blame you. It's
Oh my
expensive. It's too much to do that. I get it.
god. Hmm. Like I need, I have other stuff to buy with my money.
Also fair. But yeah, I I definitely think maybe me watching it on that smaller screen, you know, like
Could be like
made it harder to
sometimes
notice that, right?
sometimes the size of the screen can either make something more noticeable or less noticeable. So
Yeah.
maybe you know what? Get back to me whenever you get to see a fight scene from this season on a bigger screen.
Yeah, I'll
I'm
have to give it a
wondering if it's
second
just
watch.
me.
I'm curious now.
Mm. Okay. So with that being said, anything else to say that's non-spoilery, or should we just get right into it?
Um, I don't have anything, no.
Okay, then. So if you haven't seen the Dragon Prince season 7 and you don't want to be spoiled, this is your chance to close the video, go watch it, and so starting the spoilers in 3, 2, 1. Still here, good. So anyway, one thing I kind of want to talk about, we get a lot more of Aravos in this season. At least more of him actually being present, right?
Mm-hmm.
And and last season, one of the most compelling plot points is that we got a bit of his backstory and what happened to his daughter, which I forgot the name of. Is it Louis? What's her name again?
Oh fuck.
Come on,
You've
dude,
asked
I'm
me, and
counting on.
I've now completely forgotten too.
It's something with an L. Oh, for the love of God, I counted on you.
Erebos daughter's name.
Unprofessional and debatably amusing.
Leola.
Leola, there you go. So one of the most compelling plot points last time was her, Leola,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm like, oh, I wonder what they're going to do with this, and the answer is basically nothing.
Well, the answer is Erebos found a new daughter
Yeah,
in Claudia.
but it's so lame. What happened to Leola? Why establish it like that? You
W-
had something
She's dead.
going.
She's dead, HC. That's what happened.
Well,
So,
Aravos isn't really that much alive either, right?
I mean, not anymore, or at least not for 7 years, but
Okay, you know what? You mentioned that. Fuck that. Just really fuck that. What is that supposed to mean? Oh, I'm gonna like I just forget the fact that the way that they quote unquote killed them off was I get what they were trying to do, that it would be Zim's parents who finish him off. That's I don't have a problem with that. But then he's like, "What if you kill me now? I'm gonna come back in 7 years, and then what? And then Zim's dad just gives him a bite. That's it, dead."
I do. Again, I like the open-ended nature of that, of like, hey, this is the final season, we're ending it, but it's not like done, right? It's up to you, the viewer, the watcher, to come up with your own ideas as to what you think could happen from that point forward, right? I'm okay with that. It's just, again, like, I come back to the same problem. Like, there's so many other things. Like, again, if you want to do an open-ended ending like that, you can. I think that can work. Problem, there's just so many other things that feel too unfinished or not touched upon, like Leola, Erebos' daughter, actual daughter, not Claudia. And Claudia's another entire discussion as well.
And because yeah, honestly, you could argue that despite oh, okay, he's dead, but he'll be back in 7 years. Like Claudia's story is never actually finished. Like they live her on this very they live her on this very okay. I guess she's
I
on a new quest now,
It's
and
so weird, right? Because like Soren and oh, what, the ranger guy, go after her, and she's like, I could kill both of you right now. No, it's not ranger guy. It's Terry who goes after her.
yeah. Mhm.
I could kill both of you right now, but I won't because I'm nice. Disappears, and that's it.
Yeah, that
It
was.
feels so
I remember.
meh.
I remember literally staring on the TV, like, really? That's it? That's how we end our story? Okay.
My reaction was, what? That's it?
Another fair reaction.
Okay.
Another fair reaction. Another fair
I
reaction.
I guess that's what we're doing. I mean, it's kind of the same for Erebos as well. It's like, what? I mean, I'm I'm not I'm not opposed, but this is weird.
Yeah, it's like I'm not opposed. I'm confused.
Yeah. I'm a little confused. This is a little weird, and I'm not happy, but I'm not like upset.
Bec- I don't know. It's so and I get it. I get it. They wanted to leave something in case they are getting renewed, but never trust this. Never.
Well, it's like, if you want to leave things right, I, I'm fine with you leaving Erebos, like, killing him and he'll be back in 7 years. I think that's fine to leave that, right? Like, okay, so
Mhm.
Erebos, again, these are, the race of elf he is are basically immortal beings. They can't truly die, other than in like one or two ways. Fair enough. I'm all right with that. But again, like, you need to have other things feel like they are finished, right? And
Yep.
there's so many other things. Like at least Claudia, you have to give her an ending. You can't have Claudia still around doing things, right?
Yeah,
You have to
because
give
again,
other characters an ending.
Mhm. Because again, it feels like Claudia is the only one that didn't really get a proper conclusion. Let's assume they are not coming back for anything else. She feels like the only one that never truly changed. She was psychotic at the start. She's still psychotic now.
Yeah,
But I guess she's nicer or some other shit. I don't know.
she can still be nice. Look, she didn't kill Soren and Terry.
Yeah,
Woo.
which by the way, I just have to say that there was seemed to be a theme this season around the idea of like siblings, with Callum and Azran, and what's their face? I for like Amaya's wife and
Janaya.
Kareem.
No,
There was
yes.
Kareem and yeah, Kareem and Janaya and
Yeah.
everything. And then like they do mention it. They do mention that Soren and Claudia are siblings, but it also felt like at this point, what is even what is even their connection at this point? Like the fact that they're siblings means pretty much nothing at the end of the day. And I get it; they've been on opposite sides for a couple of seasons of now, but it also feels like it's not. It's like when she spells them, it doesn't feel like I'm sparing you because you're my brother. It's like you said, it's I'm sparing you because I'm nice.
Yeah, it's weird, especially when again, like you said, right? When you have this thing of like Soren, not Soren,
Callum
Ezra
and
and
Aslan,
Callum going against each other, and you have Janai and
Karim.
Kareem going against one another, right? Like you have this sibling, all these different siblings going against one another thing, and then Soren and um, fuck
Claudia.
Claudia,
We talked
fuck
about
me,
it so much before.
fuck me. Well, it's weird though that you have them two kind of like nothing sibling wise when you have all these other sibling things going on, right? It does feel weird that
Yeah.
the two what feel like like the big sibling story of good versus evil here has nothing going on, but the others do.
Which again, I think maybe it's just that they didn't really know what to do with these facts anymore, or the fact that it doesn't really matter now, or I don't know. But
It,
yeah, it felt odd. And speaking of the other side, speaking of that, I just have to say, Karim, best death ever in this show.
it's
I,
honestly,
I,
it's still
I.
great.
It's supposed to be like this oh shit moment, but my reaction was more along the lines of
I mean, yeah, I was kind of sitting there. I was like, because Kareem's doing this whole big speech thing of like, you need me. I can, destroy this thing that you need so you can't kill me. And he would literally, like, Erebus just holds out his hand and Kareem's like, I'll walk onto your hand. Nothing bad will happen to me. Crushes
and then
him.
I was just like
It's
yeah,
just like,
you remember that scene in Godzilla versus Kong where Kong just blows up that
oh,
vehicle with the
oh,
one bitch in it, and
yeah.
she goes no 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 no, and then he's like
Hmm.
it was that again.
Pretty much.
I mean, Aravos got nothing on King Kong, but it's close enough.
Yeah, but it wasn't like the oh shit moment I think they wanted. It was definitely a lot more
Yeah,
funny than it was oh shit.
like I said, it's supposed to be like this oh shit moment. We're so screwed, oh god. But I just lost my shit laughing. It was hilarious.
It, it
Eh, but I think maybe it's also just for the fact that Karim is such an asshole at this point, and like rightfully so. I get it. That's the point. But like, do you really expect me to feel anything when he's dead? I think we even said previously that we didn't even see the point of bringing him back this season because because his thing is kind of finished. But then
I
they
mean,
tried to do something with him,
it's
which I guess was pretty interesting. But then when and then that's how he goes. It's like, okay, I mean, thanks for the laugh.
it is weird though, right? That they're like, "Hey, we're gonna do a Kareem redemption arc," and it's like, "Oh, why though? You don't need to." Like
Yeah, you
he
don't.
this other
Even
you know,
he thinks that they don't need to. Even he disagrees with it.
I mean, he literally got himself killed because of it. So,
Yeah, there you go.
but yeah,
Can you?
it's
It's just I. Can you imagine? It's one of those moments where sitting down in the writers' room negotiating his contract, and it's like, listen, either you're killing me or you're leaving me out. I am not being redeemed.
fair. It's just so weird though that like there's an entire like I'm not gonna call it a B plot, but definitely a C plot, right? Where Kareem, the woman he betrayed Janai with, is actually with a child. So Kareem has an heir. We're gonna do a whole thing for that, and whether or not we should spare Kareem and bring Kareem to our side and everything. And it's like, well, why though? Like it feels like they, realized that the whole Janai and Kareem and Amaya thing is actually a fairly strong story, right? And they're like,
Hmm.
fuck, we wrote Kareem out too quickly. Fuck. We made Kareem
I
too much
don't.
of an irredeemable badass. Let's give him a
I
child. That way they
don't.
think we're going to redeem him. And then Kareem,
But that's the other thing. That's the other thing that he sees his wife and he tells her, "Oh, I heard that you have my heir," and she's like, "This is what you care for. You don't call him your child. You don't call him our kid. You call him your heir. That's all you care about. Your stupid legacy." And it's like, your fucker doesn't need to be redeemed. He's an asshole. Like I
mm-hmm,
don't. It's like, I'll tell you what. I would have seen some sort of remorse to him, or from him, or at least the fact that he's actually willing to try and be a father or something,
something.
and then he makes the turn. I would be like, okay. Okay, this might have been the Oshie expected, but up until this point, it's like Janai is kind of an idiot for even giving him that option.
Or even show Erebos somehow controlling him again, right? Like do something like that.
Yeah.
Like make it not his choice that he did it, right? Make it like, oh, he was gonna actually try for once, and then it's like, oh shit, okay, because that makes Erebos feel like more of the villain. The villains in this show are always so weird. Kareem has been the only
Y-
one who is just an out and out villain.
Yeah. And by the by, I just want to say that there are moments where I think they forgot that Amaya is supposed to be deaf, because she's talking sign language and her translator gives translates what she has to say. But then when Kareem or anyone else is talking to her, she's not looking at her translator whatsoever. Is she? Did they ever establish that she can read lips? I don't remember.
I mean, maybe I kind of just assumed that that was the thing that they were doing, right? Like it didn't really matter too much.
Hmm.
So I'm not like I'm not gonna like get too much on their case about that. Maybe,
Yeah.
right? It,
No, because there were just some moments when I see the dialogue and it's
well,
like
it's
she's
fair to
staring
bring up.
head to head on the person she's talking to, and I just imagine the translator on the side going like, "Amaya, I'm right here. Look at me. You need to see me."
Fair.
But again, that's just a nitpick. There's a good chance that she just read lips. It's very possible.
Yeah, like it's easy to explain that one away, right? So I'm not gonna like get too much on their case about that
No, no,
potentially,
of course
which
not.
which
I'm
is
just
fair,
saying that
but it is
I
fair to
only
bring it up.
noticed it now,
No,
though.
no,
Yeah,
fair, fair,
I only noticed it now. That's all.
fair.
So yeah, so I guess I have to say Kareem has my favorite moment in this season. He ends up perishing by the end, but you know what? I found it funny.
Yeah, no, fair, very fair.
Well, so let's think about, so what do you think? I know that you don't really like Terry, so what did you think of Terry this time around?
I I thought Terry was fine. I didn't have any issue with him or anything. Like hmm. I know I've said before, like Terry feels like just a weird character to throw in, right? And like I didn't really see the point of him being around or anything. I was a little harsh on Terry, I will admit. Um, I think they made Terry more involved in a good way in this time around, right?
Mm-hmm.
I do like the arc Terry is going on, especially when they started involving Erebos with Terry, because again, he is like on the villain side, quote unquote, but you know,
But you can tell that to him, he's just doing it because he legitimately loves Claudia.
yeah, that and like he doesn't fully understand just how evil Erebos is at first, right? It's only when he
Mm-hmm.
sees it firsthand that I think he fully realizes, oh, you're awful.
Yep.
And oh, Claudia, he's a bad influence on you. I need to leave before you're both a bad influence on me.
Yeah.
Which, hey, I respect that. I actually do like that, right? Like, he very quickly says, hey, this relationship is not good for me, and the fact that you lied to me and everything, Claudia. So I gotta end this. I gotta go.
Yeah.
Fair.
I just want to say I forgot to mention though, but at the very, I think it's like episode 2 or something that they actually go through this roller coaster, like Erebos, Claudia, and Terry,
Oh yeah, at the
and
mansion.
and
Mm-hmm.
and Erebos is just being such a happy dog about that. I didn't know I needed, but I guess I needed it because that was really fun.
I'm here for it, but again, it just makes the villains feel a little weird.
Yeah, agreed,
But
agreed,
I
but
do agree with you. I do like it. Like I'm glad we got it. It just feels a little weird.
Mhm. But yeah, I like the idea though that Arvos is convincing Claudia that she needs to use Terry's naivete to her advantage. But and then when Terry finds out, he's actually standing up on his own. He actually stands up for himself and
Mm-hmm.
says, "Fuck you, Claudia," and leaves.
Yeah.
And then and then tries to join Aswen's army. So I did like that he backbone, and it feels real. It doesn't feel like it just needed to happen in order for Claudia to get to somewhere. Mostly because Claudia doesn't really go anywhere, but that's besides the point.
Yeah, Claudia's motivation at this point feels really weird. Like I don't fully understand why she's helping Erebos anymore. Like at first, like all right, she's doing it to try and get her
Well,
father to come
they
back
kind
one
of
last time,
establish,
right?
yeah, they kind of establish that that she's trying to get she's trying to get her father
Yeah,
from back from the in between,
yeah.
but
But then later
again,
on, like
we
Claudia
never.
very quickly says, like, yeah, I was aware that my dad's not gonna be there because he was at peace, right? Like, all right, then why are you doing this though? Like,
Yeah,
that
if
doesn't
you
feel fully
knew,
explained.
yeah, like if you knew already, then why make the trip? Why go through all of this?
Like,
Just be at peace with your boyfriend and move the fuck on. Like, I
if
know
she's
it's hard
doing it to
to.
help Erebos because, like, all right, she cares about his plight, fair enough. But I don't feel like that was ever fully explained to us. And like
Yeah,
I feel like I have to
again,
read
it's.
in between the lines for that one a bit too much.
Hmm.
I'm fine with
Yeah, like
reading in between the lines, but there's a
some
line.
because I think but that's the thing. One more line of him maybe saying that, and that maybe, she could be his new daughter, he could be her new father. That's all you needed to establish that connection. There you go. Done.
That's a weird relationship though, let's be honest. Like that feels like also a
Well,
toxic
like
relationship.
anything else in this relationship is all hunky dory.
I
If
mean,
we're going to go
true.
for the fucked up, if we're going to do something fucked up, let's acknowledge it's fucked up.
No,
It's
fair,
not a
yeah.
shame to admit it.
No, I agree. Yeah,
They're
that's
the
actually
villains.
good. Again, they're villains. It's okay if it's fucked up.
Hmm.
Because they're villains, I guess.
Yep.
Uh I want to get some
You know
angry
something.
comments like
You know something. Okay, okay. It's not just because they're villains, but
no.
considering both of them did some things which are either inexcusable or irredeemable or whatever you want to call it. it makes sense that they could establish in just one line the fucked up nature of their relationship. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, it's a story, right? Like it's okay if this is fucked up within the story, as long as you acknowledge that. Yeah, this is fucked up. Don't. This is not a good thing. Let's be clear, right?
Because again, they do fucked up stuff in this season, like how they manipulate Terry, and when
Hmm.
Erebos actually tells Terry, Claudia knew that only you can see the map. She lied to you. She's like, that's masochistic. That's like fuck. That's you
Hmm.
know,
Yeah.
like let's like that. Ouch. So yeah, that's what you know. What we haven't talked about the main trio, the one we started with, so might as well talk about them. Am I the only one who thinks that the Callum versus Asren thing is so forced and so redundant that we didn't need it?
Yes. And
Okay,
and
I asked if I'm the only one,
you're not the
so
only one. You're not the
okay,
only
I'm
one. I
not the only
agree
one.
with you. It feels forced, and it feel like, all right, I like that we're, developing Ezran's character more. Yeah, good thing. I'm all for that. Problem. Why is this happening now in the quote unquote final season when
There
Ezran
you
has
go.
been for the past, I'm gonna say I'm gonna say 3 to
I
4
think
seasons at least,
I
potentially
think he's
all of
been
them.
king. I think he's been king since season 4.
Well, it's not even a king thing. When Ezran has been preaching, like, hey, we need to do peace and forgiveness and
Mhm.
acceptance for like the past, I'm going to say 4, 5 ish seasons,
Yeah.
why is he just now deciding, accept Runan? Fuck him. Everything's his fault. No
Yeah,
forgiveness for him. And I get it. Last season, he did have the thing of, yeah, no, I'm not going to forgive you, Viren.
mhm.
Fair, but that was not focused on enough to the level of, and again, even in that season, Ezran went right back to preaching forgiveness and acceptance and, like, second chances to Janai and Kareem and everything. Like, that was Ezran's whole thing.
Yeah.
So we never really
Mhm.
got a whole big thing of, like, we needed more between Ezran and Viren and why Ezran was not forgiving Viren and what was going on there and what Ezran's mindset was in order for this to make sense in this season. Instead, we never got any of that, so it just feels like Ezran all of a sudden is like, nah, fuck him in particular,
Yeah.
because we needed some drama between our heroes.
But
Because
that's the
once
other thing,
again,
though.
if there's
Uh,
no nothing, if again, I come back to this show continues to have this fucking problem where the heroes have literally all of the advantages. Everything goes their way. They have nothing that goes poorly for them. And yet, because of that, our villains are so on the back foot, we need to cause problems for our heroes. And this feels like another one of those instances where our heroes need to cause a problem for themselves.
mm.
And I
Again,
can't stand it.
it's this classic, we wrote ourselves into a corner, shit, what do we do?
And it's also a
Um,
thing of, like, both times I've had this problem, and or at least most of the times I've had this problem with this show, they're always using Ezra to do this. And it's like, I want to like his character, and I kind of do like his character, but at the same time,
and the thing
why
is
did he
that
fucking do the Toad thing? That was dumb as shit. And people are like, he's just a naive child. No, you don't get to have it both ways.
Mhm. Like I tell you what, if this was Azran in the first 3 seasons, I could buy that just a kid thing. Which, by the way, it impresses me that this kid's voice didn't change throughout the 7 seasons of the show.
Like, I have
For now,
nothing bad to say about the voice actors. They've done
no, no, no,
great.
no. It's not a
No,
jab
no,
at the
no.
voice
I
actor.
know. I get you.
I'm just saying, if we're already on this, then I'm kind of impressed that once again these guys are involved in a show where the main character is a kid, and at no point the lead actor voicing him had his balls dropped as the show was going on, and
Hey,
he had the same voice. That's impressive.
Yeah, great voice acting. They
Mhm.
deserve the praise.
Yeah, but what I'm saying though is that so don't let the fact that his voice is still high pitched and kiddish fool you from the fact that Azran is no longer the same kid he was back in the first three seasons. So, and if anything, the show did great in establishing that he's no longer that kid.
Hmm.
I like that he's no longer that kid.
Yeah.
But then again, if you're going to commit to the fact that he's now a king and taking on adult responsibilities and actually sometimes being the only real adult in the room, you can't really just use the "he's a kid" excuse when it comes to something like that.
Yeah, you
Because
can't use
sometimes,
the oh
because
he's just a naive kid when he does something wrong, right? Because
yeah,
a lot of the times Ezrin will make mistakes and it doesn't feel like he suffers any consequences for it. Again, like the Toad thing. The consequences there weren't Ezrin's, it was other characters' consequences. Other characters suffered from the consequences of his choices, right?
yep.
And he never gets called out for that or anything. And the defense from, people generally tends to be, oh, he's just a naive kid. And at this point, you just can't claim that. But regardless, right, getting back to this season, I just, I, yeah, like I did not. I get it. It's just like this is your final season. This should not be the moment when you're doing the Ezram versus Callum, Ezrin versus Callum thing, right?
And then, like you said, so this kid who is preaching for peace or anything, no, Ronan is the only one that doesn't deserve it. He needs to die. And fair enough, Ronan did some terrible things. I get it. What I don't get is that shouldn't Callum be angry at this too? And I get it. He's in a relationship with Ryla and everything. I get it. It's like, I understand that side, but just because he's your girlfriend's father doesn't mean he's innocent. And there's a good Ezrin does have a point, but then again, so does Callum. And on the one hand, I can also say that's what makes it a compelling drama because I can see both sides. But
Mm-hmm.
the way they write it is more that both sides are idiots who are not willing to talk to each other like brothers. And then and then for after episode 2 for the remainder for like basically the remainder of the season, Callum and Azran are separated, and there's barely any acknowledgement of that. All we get after episode 2 is the very quick talk in episode 9, the finale, and that's it, all forgiven.
Yep. I
That's not how you do drama show. This is not how you do drama.
Well, again,
No.
it
No.
it's like that needed like either a season itself or quite a few episodes dedicated to it, right? And like going back and forth on that, right?
And again, I just say again, considering they felt the need to force in to kind of send Callum and Ryla back to square one with season 4, that she apparently left for a few years, and Callum is pissed at her and won't talk to her. And then in season 6, he's like, you know what, about this, I love you and everything. Now all of a sudden she brings her father back, her father who is responsible for the death of his father, and then he's like, nah, Asren is wrong. You're in the clear, my love. All good.
Well, I'm I do understand when people say, why isn't Callum more upset? I think I can kind of I personally I can kind of understand why Callum's not as upset anymore. And I know some people are just gonna like because he's a simp because you know he has no thought other than support Rayla.
But at the same
Fair,
time,
but
though, dude, just one,
I
you went, he went for Raylan's throat when she came back and didn't give her a chance to explain herself.
I
Now all
mean,
of a sudden, and now it's
Rayla
like,
made some mistakes
nah.
there too, right? Like that was bad on both of their characters. Let's be honest, not just his.
It,
But
it's true enough, but that's exactly what I'm saying. If it feels again that you can't really give the regardless of who's at fault here, because you could say that both of them were at fault when that happened. But you can tell me that Callum would be furious with Rayla over that. But then when it comes to to the death of his adoptive father, yeah, and the biological father of his brother, you know, it, and that's the point where he's like, nah, actually, my heart belongs to Rayla, and I will protect her even against my own brother. It's kind of like not consistent.
well, I mean, you say that though, but Callum did make a good point. I thought, and I'm glad the show brought it up. Ezra chose to forgive Zubeia. Zim's
Yeah.
mom is the one who ordered that to happen in the first place, right? Like,
There you go. So put Zubeia in jail. Fuck Zim.
I mean, she's dead, so
But the point stands. The point
you're
stands.
no, you're not wrong, right? But like, Ezra forgave her. Why can't he forgive Renan? So like, I do like that Callum brought that up, right? And I do think that is a thing, right? Like, it's this thing of like, I'm using like a lot again. Damn it, I'm noticing it. No,
All good.
it is this thing, right? Of again, like you said, it feels like good drama, at least to some degree, because like I do understand both sides. I understand why Ezra is pissed, and I understand to some degree why Callum isn't, and that's not concerning Rayla. I can understand why he's not as angry about it, right? One, it's not
Yeah.
his real dad. It's his adoptive father, right? But even more than that, I think is that I think Callum is very much on the idea of like, hey, we've worked so hard to foster this peace and this forgiveness thing of forgiveness and everything, that like it feels weird to eschew all of that now just because Runan was the one who killed their dad. Like, Rayla was there too. Rayla was there to kill their dad as well, so they forgave Rayla as well. Like,
Yeah.
you can't, like, I kind of get the argument from Callum's idea of like, you can't forgive everyone else and not him. If you're gonna forgive everyone else, you also need to forgive him as well.
There
Whether it's
you
harder or
go.
not, I get it. Now I do understand where you're coming at it from. Callum should have brought some more of that up, right? Like there should have been more argument between them, more discussion between them. There should have been like an episode, or at least a portion of an episode, where you hear Callum talking about how he's upset that Ezrin is feeling this way, and he's upset that he did
Because
protect
after this,
Renan and Rayla,
after
but he's upset. Like there should have been an episode, right, where it's like Callum talking with either Rayla or Renan about how he is upset at them as well for what they did, but he's
and
also willing to
especially
forgive them,
because
and he's upset that
because there
Ezrin
is
won't.
because there was also the episode where Rayla is trying to get back into her tribe, and one of the guys is like, I'll never forgive you because you took away my son from me. And that's actually a really good scene where she tells them,
Mhm.
I can tell you to forgive me. I understand you're not going to forgive
I
me, but you understand that staying mad at me isn't going to bring your son back. Like
mhm.
she and it's like, yeah, tell that to Azran because I think he
But
forgot.
no, can we talk though? When Rayla was like trying to defend Runan, she's like, her argument was, he's an assassin, not a murderer, and that's a
Yeah,
difference.
that fucking line. You know something. I don't want to be involved in such a thing, but I am dying for someone to try and use that excuse in a court. In the court of law, like if a lawyer actually said he's not a murderer, he's an assassin, and
Your
then
Honor,
everyone
I'm
is
a
like,
good
"Oh,
murderer.
you."
I'm an assassin. I assassinate people. I don't murder people. Big
Yeah,
difference.
yeah. I got the. You know something. I need to make a living, Your Honor. see. But
And I only murder
before,
bad people, Your
mm,
Honor.
yeah, before this joke gets way over, way over complicated, but
Dig
yeah,
in the
that
hole, dig
that
in the hole.
line that line really actually got me. I forgot you. Thank you for bringing it up because I when I heard it, I'm like, I had the biggest "Eh,
It
face.
it was so dumb, and I was like, I kind of get what they're going for. Rayla's just not good at arguing in the moment, right? Like she needs that time to think about things. But it's like, God, Rayla, you could have said anything else.
Like
Anything else.
because I tell you what, saying he's not a killer, he's a murderer as a defense, that sounds like, and I know he doesn't exist, but like if it were, I would accept it if it was like a Dragon Prince abridged thing, not the actual show.
Again, if they're going for like this character trait of Rayla's, and I think they've done it before, right? Where for like,
By the way, what's the name of the group of who's doing Yu-Gi-Oh! Abridged and Dragon Ball Abridged? What's
Team 4 Star.
yeah, Team Four Star, get on that. Dragon Prince Abridged.
That'd be great.
You're welcome.
I would love that. Arguably might be a better show than the original.
Oh no. Dragon Ball Abridged, Dragon Ball Z Abridged is better than Dragon Ball Z. I said that.
I
Fight
mean,
me.
that's fair. I think a lot of people would actually agree with you in some ways. Like it is actually a more fun show at
Because
times.
as someone who could never get into Dragon Ball Z because it took so long for them to get somewhere. They would
Welcome to
talk so
Shonen.
fucking much.
Welcome to
I,
Shonen.
yeah, I know. It's just that something about it. I tried getting into. I promise you that I did. All of my friends love it. I just can't. I don't see the appeal
It's
of
fair.
them talking for 10 episodes and then maybe fight for 5, give or take, and then they can shoot this one beam which destroys half the earth.
I mean, you also you forgot to add in the for like 2 or 3 episodes as well. But then they do one
You're
final
only
episode of
making the point
fighting,
worse for the
and
show.
then
I
it
don't.
ends with a final episode after that where they do the big beam attack against one another, and one of them dies and one of them lives.
And then one of the and the one then the one who dies comes back to life because they can do that.
Yes, and either they're on the good guy's side now or they're still evil. Take your pick. It
The point
happens
of
from time to time.
the point of the matter is that Dragon Ball Z is stupid, and by all means, love it if you will. I
That's
can
fair.
take some of it
I
sometimes.
definitely get it's not going to be for everyone, right? But all of this to say, Outcast watches and next Outcast is Dragon Ball Z Bridge.
No, no. A next Outcast is something that some would say is a ripoff of Dragon Ball, but then again, it's actually better. But that's another story.
Those are some fighting words. Those are some strong words if people know what you're talking
Yeah,
about.
I don't. Well, let's say I have a lot of people who want to fight me over this, and I beat them every time. So you know what?
No, like yeah, it's Dragon
Anyway,
Prince.
back to Dragon Prince.
Dragon Prince. Yeah, it definitely was a weird argument from Rayla.
And
And again, like they've done something like this. I feel like it's been a while since I've watched the other seasons, right? I feel like they've done something like this before where Rayla will make like really weird arguments that's like the worst argument she could make in that moment. And it feels like that's maybe it's supposed to be like a character trait thing for her where she
I
just
get
says the
it
awful wrong thing.
because initially she was the muscle technically
Hmm.
in the group. She was the one. She was the fighter,
Yeah,
but
makes sense.
so that makes sense that she that
In the
she's
moment.
better in the moment of it, and also being quick on her feet and actually taking care of the bad guys. I understand that, but whenever she needs to, but then it seems like they don't let her fight as much, and now suddenly she has to stand up for herself, and she never really develops any sort of social skills, which, to be fair, she can't really do when she's been on her own for years, and she can't really talk to her own boyfriend about why she left him for years. So Yeah, so I know we make fun of that one line, but at the same time, yeah, it's not like she really brought up any good defenses beforehand.
No, it's again, it's an extremely funny line. It's really dumb, but I do love that it comes from her, not anyone else, right? And I
Yeah.
enjoy that because again, that feels like a character flaw for her. Yeah, she's hypocritical. Yeah, she cares more about Runan than anything else. I get that. And yeah, that's a really dumb argument. She could have come up with anything better. But it's Rayla. She's not going to come up with anything better because she's not good at quickly thinking on her feet for things like that. She needs a lot more time. She's not good in the moment when it comes to things like that. At least that's what it feels like from her character. And I'm cool with that. I like that. That's one of the good things about this season, I feel. Even if it is just a really dumb line.
What can you do?
But like yeah, but in general, right? The Ezra and Callum thing just feels like I said, weird to have in this season if this is supposed to be your final season. This does not feel
And
like the
again,
place
there's
for it.
no focus on it because
And that too.
after the separation, there's maybe just one line from Asben where Callum is no longer my brother. He betrayed us. He double crossed us. He's out of the family and all of that. And then we don't. None of them ever brings the other one up. Maybe besides in a casual conversation. And meanwhile, Callum is out there having orgasms about cake. I still don't know how the hell I saw that. And
Why was
and
that in this season? That was like 5 minutes that we could get back, man.
yeah,
That was 5 minutes. That 5 minutes could have what may not have been exactly 5 minutes, but it felt like it. It felt like longer to be honest. But that could have been used for a scene of like a back and forth of Ezrin talking to someone about Callum and Callum talking to someone about Ezrin. Why didn't that happen? Why did we get fucking cake orgasm? Like fuck. Ugh.
So in other news, with the, I also so listen. You know what other part cracked me up
Oh boy.
when so there are those people, I forgot their names, but the people with the blindfolds on, right? That
Oh, they're not celestial elves. They're like sky touched elves, I think, right?
something like that, yeah. So the season literally begins with Astrid going, "I'm going to find Callum and Rayla and tell them about Erevor's upcoming return," and then they're like, "But you shouldn't. We can't interfere. We can't, with their events and everything." And she's like, "I'm going to do it anyway." And then is it her brother or something that tells her, "I trust you. I know that you can do this," and everything, despite the fact that it's apparently forbidden. Then a few episodes later, she finds them. She tells them what she knows, and not a single fuck was given about the fact she broke her own rule.
I mean, it feels like the thing is right. Like she can't go back to where that's what it feels like. Like okay, her consequence is she can't go back to, and they are celestials. So I was wrong. My apologies. But like
Then
she can't go.
explain it to me.
I
Make
mean,
me care. It doesn't add to anything to her, but more for just the moment of Callum having to face his darker self, which to be fair is a good idea. I like that on paper. But
mhm.
it's like it's a issue. But this isn't the scene at the very start of the season, and her coming back probably only exists basically for Callum to have this moment of self-doubt.
Yeah, and
That's not a character, that's a plot device.
yeah. Again, I think some of the consequences for her leaving and choosing to do what she did was definitely like established last season, but that's kind of the problem, right? Like
Hmm.
it should definitely be fuck me. It should definitely be a thing of either those consequences should have been reestablished or we should have seen something, directly consequence wise for her, like because we saw her brother at the end too. He left, technically
Yeah.
speaking. Like he still had his blindfold on and everything, but he did still leave. Like the only thing we saw consequence wise for her was she took the blindfold off and saw the sunset and it's like, oh, I see everything. That scene, right? Where like her eyes are
Yeah.
going wide and shit's happening. I
Mm-hmm.
don't know how much of a consequence that was. We don't know anything about what that exactly means
There
because
you
she
go.
doesn't
We
have
don't
like the
know.
gift of future sight for her like her brother does. So, what was the point of that scene? Like, if you had shown like, oh, she went blind from it, then fair enough, that would have been her consequence. But it doesn't look like she's blind. Although I will say, I did notice something. Maybe this is just me,
Mm-hmm.
and someone can tell me if I'm wrong or not. But I think in one of like in this season, in one of the later episodes, I would swear to you her eye color changed at some point.
Hmm.
It was like
Um,
I want to say
I
in like episode 8, in 9, right? Like when we see her, I think we see her there briefly, or it might have been in a slightly earlier episode. But I swear to you, I think her eye color changed from
I
what we
need
saw
to.
earlier in this
If
season.
someone can confirm it, because I'll need to go back and check.
I would swear up and down, but I could be wrong. Do not quote me. I could obviously be wrong, but I would swear to you, I think her eye color changed. Maybe that's her consequence. Her eye color changes. Woo.
Ooh.
Such a
Well,
consequence.
now she needs to change her Tinder account. Oh, boo-hoo. So,
No one's gonna
that
love her
being,
now.
uh,
Eye color
that
change.
being,
Ugh.
you joke, but try being a Sonic fan. To some people, that's World War III.
Fair enough.
If you know, you know. Moving on. So, what else do we have? What else do I have? Let's see. So we talked about Carmen Azran. We mentioned Claudia. We mentioned Kareem. Um, I will say though, when one point that I actually was enjoying myself and I was actually invested, surprisingly enough, was when they trap Erebos in Zadia, and Azran is actually talking to him, and they have
Mm.
this really interesting, intelligent conversation. And I like that. I like that that the hero and the villain can have a conversation with each other, and it's actually a very interesting conversation, and it sounds very smart and intense and everything. I get it. I like it. But then I also stop, and I'm thinking to myself, what did Erebos actually do this season?
I mean,
He's
you
the
can
big
you
bad,
can
but we just know that he's really good with walls.
you can argue, I want to say I could be wrong, but I feel like the whole thing with him telling Terry the way he did was him manipulating Terry because he wanted to get Claudia and himself alone because he wants to be the only one with Claudia, right? He doesn't want Terry in the picture,
Hmm.
which I think you can make that argument, and I think that's fair. I think that's a good little small villain moment. Like he's obsessive and he's, um, I don't want to say protective or overprotective. I don't think that's the right word here, but like he's definitely like he wants Claudia to himself, right? Not in that way.
Yeah. Fan fiction writers would disagree with you, buddy, but
Mm, considering, I'm considering, he was like, calling her daughter and everything this season. I think those fanfic writers have some demons they need to tackle. Or they need to question, is this the story I want to write? Listen, I mean, wincest, incest, wincest, I guess, right? I get it. If that's for you, go for it. But
I've seen people defend incest as it's okay as long as it's siblings. The internet is a weird
I
place, my
mean,
dude.
technically, I guess this isn't incest,
No,
but
no, no, you're not justifying that. We're moving on.
yeah. Anyway,
This conversation took a turn.
we're gonna get comments about it. So I might as well
Okay.
say like I get it. They're not actually related, but still,
So
it's weird.
So
But
HP
anyways,
Wolf, what do you think about the Dragon Prince? Well, actually, instant. Oh my god, what's going on?
this is what this season does because it's just a weird season. All right.
And we even got we didn't even get to the part where the dragon talks, but that's another story.
I mean, on the
So yeah,
list of things for me at least, that's at the bottom of like I don't care about that. Like that's a thing that happened and I'm just like, okay, yeah, moving on. All of this stuff though,
why is it Dante Basco?
I kind of love that it is.
I kind of love that it is too, but also, what the fuck? Was he just in the recording studio? Did he just pass by?
Man was just like out to get a bite to eat and like, "Yo, come with us." And they just kidnapped him briefly and had him record a line. I don't even think he
And
knows what it
but
was
it's like,
for.
but no, like, listen, you had him and Soka's voice actor in the same fucking scene, and you have Zim talk with his voice. Was it really so hard to find a way to walk that? That's rough, buddy.
That would have been
Like,
hilarious.
come on, it was right
I feel like
there.
that's too memey, right? Like,
I don't.
I mean, for
That's too
this
Mimi. The dragon talks with Zuko's voice, and this is where they draw the line. This is no.
listen, listen. I
The
understand this
dragon
season,
no, no, no. I love the logic that up until this point, the dragon talks with, him saying that's rough, buddy. That's where that's where the line would be drawn
I
because
mean,
that's too
you
Mimi.
have to have a
Oh,
line to draw somewhere. That's my line. Listen, everything else with this season, I can accept. Him saying that's rough, buddy. Nah, that's too far.
oh my god. I don't know what this conversation is
But
anymore,
yes,
but I'm laughing.
if you're not aware, Zim finally talked. He could apparently do that for a while, according to
Finally
Zim.
talked, as as we were looking forward to this, you know.
At the very end, like we get that at episode 9, he says one line, and basically it amounts to him. Then he says two lines. He says the first line, and then the second line is, "Yeah, I could do it for a while,"
Yeah.
and that's it. Nothing else. Like,
Mhm. Though I will say,
oh,
one of my friends actually commissioned someone to make me a zip plush for my birthday or
nice.
was for, but now this was between season 3 and 4. So now I need to return the plush and say I demand the Dante box inside of it, or it's a no
Give give it a scar like Zuko. Gives him a scar like Zuko's.
Oh no. No, no, no. Better yet, let's address show that he like American Dragon Warrior Jake Long. That's what it was.
Oh wow, that's going back.
So just have, no, so just have the voice box have say line from that show, like yo, what's the deal, yo, whatever he says in that. I don't know. I haven't seen the show.
It's been so long.
So anyway, what were we? Okay.
Zim speaks. That's where we were, and he has Dante Bosco's
Yeah.
voice, the voice of Zuko. If you're not aware,
Hmm.
from Avatar: The Last Airbender. What does this
Yeah.
mean? This means Zim's gonna go hunt this world's equivalent of the Avatar. I guess. Don't ask me
Mm.
who that is. I don't know.
Aswen banished him. He's oh my god. Can you imagine? Can you imagine the Aswen just going, Zim, I challenge you to an Agni Kai.
Well,
Okay,
Ezrin
this
does
is
have the sword of slaying now. I guess for the Star
I
Touchdowns.
suppose. Oh my god.
We've not talked about that either. We also didn't talk about Ezrin can do the rainbow speed thing as well.
Because is there really anything to say? It's just like, okay, I guess Aswen can do those things now.
Well, Zim
Cool.
and like, yeah, fair. It doesn't really mean much of anything, really. It's just to get Ezrin there with the sword in time.
But anyway, I guess if we are already on this, then maybe let's just talk about the final fight. Overall, I think it was good. Again, I kind of think that the way in which Erebos dies is kind of anticlimactic, but it was cool until then.
I mean, I'm if this wasn't a final season, I'm here for it. Since it's a final season, it feels a little off.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's perfectly fine. Someone had to sacrifice themselves there, right? Like, I think that makes a ton of sense. And it seems like all of the great arch dragons are dead now. All of them are gone. Both Zim's parents, the earth dragon whose name I forget, and the water dragon, it looks like they also died. The one we saw died when he got bit by Zim's dad. And then the water dragon, I guess, died in the in Erebos's explosion, question mark.
Hmm.
So, you know, if this wasn't the quote unquote final season, that would be interesting because we have no more arch dragons to rely on anymore. So there's no way to lock Erebos away anymore. That's
Yep.
neat. That's interesting.
Which, by the way, a friend brought something up regarding this. That so there's this plan that Callum comes up with, right? That if he uses dark magic, then he'll be able to trap Erebos within the coin. But then there's also the thing that he might he might let's see how she worded it. Okay. When Callum tells Erebos that Ronan will kill him when the spell is finished and he won't have anywhere to go, but Claudia is right there. Because Arvos couldn't go inside Callum's body. In that case, because he just that why would Arvos go inside Callum's body when Callum just told them the plan? That's kind of a good point,
There's a really
and
there's a really bad joke that can be made here. I'm not gonna make it.
because of course there is. Nope, we're not doing that.
There's a bad joke that you can make with Erebos and Claudia and going inside.
Uh,
I'm
of
mature. I'm an adult.
course you are.
But uh you are right. I didn't think about that. That feels a little like a flaw in the logic of like why wouldn't Erebos use Claudia then? Question mark. Like
Be a
or at the very least, why would Callum think that Erebos wouldn't do that, right? Like what is Callum's thought process there? Because Claudia is there, so why wouldn't he just use Claudia then if he can't use Callum?
Mhm.
Maybe
And I,
there's
and
some.
the thing
It
is
feels
that I
like
think
if Callum has a thought process there, it feels like we're not privy to it. Like there's something he knows that we don't, and that doesn't work for storytelling.
and again I think when it's all said and done,
Otherwise, it feels like
the
writer's
main
block.
explanation is going to be that they just didn't think this through.
No,
And I get it. Some writing can be hard when it comes to this kind of stuff,
I
but it's
feel like you're
also
not gonna like what? No, I don't think we can give them credit for that. I don't think we can
I
say
am not.
writing's kind of hard when
Let me
Claudia's
just get.
one of their main
I am
characters.
I am getting to it.
You better get to it. I'm waiting. I'm judging. Go.
I'm making fun of the fact that they weren't that conflicts hasn't really been the show's
I mean,
strong suit as we were in the recent seasons. So what I'm saying is that I get that writing is hard, but you kind of have to try.
I think they were trying. That's
I'm
kind of
not
the.
saying that they weren't. For the record, not to take a jab because I'm sure that they worked hard on this, and you
I don't
can say
know.
that they love the
Is
show.
it
But
is it better if they
but
weren't trying, or is it better if they were?
actually. something I think you just brought up the new philosophical question to debate over the next decade.
You know? Because if they weren't trying, then it's like, you know what? I can kind of accept why this season feels kind of, at the very least, meh. If they were trying, God, help them, please. What happened? You
Uh,
wrote season 6. That was really good. What happened to you? Eh, I want to
uh,
be clear, right? Because, and we've said this before when we had our problems with season 4 and season 5. We really do want to love this show. But this
mhm.
show
Because we're fans.
yeah, but this show consistently feels like at times like it just gets in its own way. I
Yeah.
want to hope that this was a like, oh shit, we've, Netflix has fucked us, right? I want to hope that it's like Netflix has fucked them because they're not getting more seasons, but they actually needed more, right? They needed more time and they weren't given it. I want to hope
Yeah.
that's what it is.
Well, because from what I understood, they were planning to make it to season 7 anyway. Like Netflix just needed to give them the green light.
Mm.
But if that's the case, then they don't really know how to run this show.
Yeah, but like, yeah, right. If that's the case, then if you knew, if you wanted to get to season 7, then you should have been planning to end it by this point, not do what you did, which feels like, God, we hope we get more because we desperately need it. Not a, you know, uh, yeah, like, ugh, ugh,
Ugh.
ugh. Again, I want to love the show, and there's things I like about this season as well. Same with season 4 and season 5. There are
And
things I liked about it, but it just feels not great compared to what we've gotten from
and
the
I
show
tell you what,
before.
I believe we talked about this in one of the earlier podcasts about the Dragon Prince. I'm not sure if it was probably in seasons 4 or 5. I think we talked about this.
Mhm.
You there is this thing that Wonderstorm, the company who's making it, they have the IP. This is not a Netflix IP that they outsource to a studio. This is something that they created. Then Netflix is the the organization funding it
Yeah,
essentially.
they're the
But
production company basically. Like Netflix is
yeah,
producing it.
yeah, Netflix is producing it, but well, not even producing it. It's
Well,
more that they are a wallet and a
yeah,
network that airs it.
yeah, network. Yeah, they're the network
The-
behind it, basically.
when it comes to like who owns the Dragon Prince, that's Wonderstone.
Yeah. Hmm.
So, and I think we talked about let's say stuff that happened inside the company walls that was and stuff. We're not gonna
Yeah,
get into that.
like yeah, there's definitely
Um,
Storm's had problems. Is is the basic gist.
yeah, but not only that, because again, at the end of the day, problems during the productions happen with everything, so it's not necessarily an excuse. It's an explanation to why some problems are there, but it's not an excuse. But then I'm also thinking that I believe we talked about this. Maybe this is one case. This show could have been a case where network meddling could have actually helped, because that way you can have someone actually see what you're doing and give you some direction as to what you could cut, what you could remove, and so on and so forth.
It's possible, right? Like it's definitely a thing of this may not be Netflix's fault. This may just be Storm's fault because, like you said, we've definitely heard of problems in the company before, and a lot of those problems, from what we understood, from like what we do know, again, and then quite a bit of it is rumor based. Some of it is like this actually happened. I don't want to get too heavy into it just because
Yeah,
I don't
again,
remember everything. It's been a while.
the reason we're not getting too deep into this is because we are talking about something that is essentially a rumor. We are not discrediting it, but we are also
Yeah.
not saying this is a fact, because we can't know unless if we were there, which we are not, or or if someone actually speaks up about it and provides proof for that.
Yeah, we don't have professional sources we can give you. And on top of that, it has also just been a while, so I don't fully remember everything that was said that had happened either. What I do
Yep,
remember though is a lot of it was supposedly management problems, which can definitely affect the production of a show like this, right? And can
definitely.
definitely hurt it. And maybe that's why season 4, season 5, and even potentially this season feel not great, right? So, it very well could be this is just a Wonderstorm problem and not a Netflix issue. And that really sucks because it it felt like they had potentially hopefully solved these issues, that they were supposedly, because supposedly this was happening around, I want to say season 4, season 5, season 3, sort of in that area, right? That's what I want to say.
Could could be because again, keep in mind that there was a bit of a gap between seasons 3 and 4.
Hmm.
So those problems could have also been when season 3 was being in production, or maybe when they were trying to pitch the rest of the show. You could never know.
But yeah, but it seems like with this season we're potentially getting back into those problems, maybe, or something else is going on now. Man, it's just
Entertainment business sucks.
it's just sad, right? Because, like, again, we're fans of the show. I think a lot of people are fans of the show. I think a lot of
Hmm.
people love it and want to love it even more than what they do. But I think everyone, from what I've seen, definitely agrees this season was just not a good season to be your ending season, right? This was not a
Yeah, it's
good finale.
again, if initially my thoughts were like it's a good ending, but now the more I'm thinking about it and the more we talk about it, the more I'm like, this was kind of underwhelming.
It's another one of those issues of this show has that problem, a similar problem to Ruby as well, right? And I've mentioned this before too, where it definitely feels like a diamond in the rough. Like, man, if you had the chance to just polish this up, this could be so good. And I think season 7 falls in that category too. I think there's a lot of good stuff with behind season 7. I like the idea of an open-ended ending. I really enjoy that concept. I think you can do something with that. I think you can make that work, but it's just everything else this season just does not feel like it helps provide a good enough ending to make that open-ended ending with Erebos work. There's so
Hmm.
many other things you needed to do and so many other things you needed to finalize and end off and like give us a conclusion to that you just didn't do, or that you did poorly for that matter, to then give us also this open-ended ending with Erebos. On top of all of that, it just doesn't feel good and it doesn't work.
Hmm.
And it definitely makes it clear that you were potentially, hoping, oh fuck, we need more seasons to actually finish this off. We've not written it well enough to end it at this point.
And the thing is that might as well get into this. The writers have apparently talked about the idea that there could be a third act with 3 more seasons. Thing is, though, this has not entered development yet, and the discussions with Netflix about renewing it are not happening as of right now.
So this either may never happen or it might happen. It'll just be with a different, it might be in a different place. It may not be on
S-
Netflix.
so that's the thing. As of right now, we don't know.
So, with that in mind, we have to assume no matter what the writers want, no matter what they say, no matter they feel, we have to assume this is the end. And if this is the end, it's just not a good finale.
Mhm. But again, this is one of those things that only time will tell, and there's a good chance that, like, I don't know, in a year or something, we can go back to this podcast and be like, "Wow, we had no idea what we're talking about. What a
I
bunch
mean,
of idiots!"
again,
But
they
and
could get their next 3 seasons that they need, either from Netflix or someone else. And
there
you're
you
right,
go,
it could come back, it could come out and be amazing because we've
and there
seen
you
this
go.
show do it before. Season 6.
Yeah, season 6, the first 3 seasons, and again,
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying this again and again and again. This is one of those cases where I would be ecstatic to be wrong. Okay,
Mhm.
I would, if they get those other more these 3 more seasons and they end up blowing my socks off, I'm going to be like, you know what? You proved me wrong. I'm sorry I doubted you.
You deserve it. Again,
But
and we've said that before too. Like after
yeah,
season 4 and 5, like we were a little bit like, we hope you can bring it back. We want you to bring it back. And they did with season 6. And we're like, yeah, let's go. We're hyped. Let's get it. Let's go. And then we get
and
this and
then
we're kind of
season.
like, eh,
Uh,
like you lost it. You had it. You were doing great. And you kind of lost it a little bit. And I hope you can get it back. But right
yeah.
now, I have to judge it for what it is right now, and this just doesn't feel good at all. There's some good
But
stuff in it, but
which does bring up to, but you also need to understand that if we end up being right and this is the end all be all and there's no more Dragon Prince after this, maybe like a spin-off or like or like another book or something, those could happen. I'm not rolling down the possibility,
yeah.
but then again, but that's exactly the point. If this if this is the end all be all and then I have to rely on some supplementary material to get answers for the rest of it or to get more out of it, then no, this is kind of a disappointment of a finale.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
Well, I think I said my bit. Anything else you have to add? Or
Go watch The Dragon Prince season 7.
well, if you haven't, then why the hell are you listening to us pulling
I
it
mean,
left and right?
if you
That's
if you haven't, maybe you've heard the news. It's not great.
mm.
We're here to tell you that. Yeah, it wasn't
Honestly,
great.
honestly, yeah, that is a kind
There's
of a
some fun
disappointment.
stuff in it, but it has some problems.
I will say though, I told Wolf this before we started recording. That literally earlier today, I watched the season 7 the day it premiered, right? And then I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, I'll just refresh myself before the podcast. And then it just so happened that I got the opportunity to see a movie I was really looking forward to, which we were supposed to do next week, and you'll know what it is when we get to it. But
You
if
might
a
already know.
movie, but like if a movie just completely makes me forget about a show that I saw 2 days ago, and this is a show I'm supposed to be a fan of, then it probably means something about the longevity.
Yeah, yeah, that says quite a bit, which is unfortunate.
Alas. So, anything else to say, or shall we
As
wrap this up?
always, I'm hopeful that they get their next 3 seasons, and I'm hopeful that it comes out and it blows us away and it's actually really good and it really ties everything together nice and neatly, right? And it's
Yeah,
just that
agreed.
good to
Like,
me.
I would love for if they actually get those next 3 seasons, then you know what? I'm there. Just tell me when. I'll be there. We'll be there to talk about it. I just hope that there won't be any more. Okay, this is the finale, but maybe we can do more. No, just end it at this
Mm-hmm.
point.
Agreed.
Well, with that said, that's it for this episode of the Outcast. We hope you enjoyed it. What did you think about the Dragon Prince season 7? Are you looking forward to seeing any more of the Dragon Prince? You can tell us all about it in the comment section below, on our Tumblr, which is Berkcast Team, and on our Twitter, which is Berkcast with a capital B, capital C, and we really need to move out of there. So until next time, I was HC,
I was Wolf.
and we will see you all in the next episode. Take care.
Bye bye.